Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Let's get to it, guys. Let's see. Let's go ahead and get into this. Let's get into it. We have a very important lecture for today's live stream. Let me check the audio on this. Let me check the audio on this. Let me check the audio on this. Okay, so the audio is not correct. Okay, so the audio is not correct. Let me try to give me a second. Let's see. Hold on. It is connected. It's showing that it's connected. No, that's not right. That is not right at all. This is not correct. So let me. Mr. Man, leave some women for the rest of y'all. Bruh, I don't want all the women, bruh. So let's see, that's blinking. Why are you blinking? Okay, so let's, oh, I think that should be correct right there. Let me see. Let me test the audio on this again. Right there. Let me see. Let me test the audio on this again. So yeah, that's better. That's better. That is better. Better. That is much better. So I'm not taking all the girls, bro. But anyway, we have a very important live stream to talk about today. Let me double check this one more time. It's bugging me. We have a very important live stream to talk about today. Let me double check. All right. So yeah, okay. So I was watching Adolescence, and this, first of all, this is going to be a spoiler alert for anybody in here that hasn't seen the show series already. So if you guys are watching on the replay, if you guys are watching currently, I'm just going to give you this disclaimer out right now. So if you haven't seen the movie series or the Netflix show series Adolescence, um, this is going to be a spoiler alert. So if you guys are not ready for it, if you guys haven't want to watch the series first, I highly recommend that you guys go check that out and come back to this stream afterwards. But there is some very polarizing messages in this show series that just shows you how connected the mainstream is to the male spaces and how evil they think that these whole spaces are. So we have to do a deep dive and do some insightful looking or some insightful talking about how this will affect male spaces. And if we're being honest, I mean, male spaces have already been. Um, I appreciate you. This is about the new series Adolescence and how it's going to impact male spaces when it comes to talking about freedom of speech, when it comes to critiquing women, critiquing society. All these things will be, these messages will become under attack. So this is all going to be under that same umbrella. And this movie series, Netflix series, is going to show some glaring or some troubling messages that we talk about on a consistent basis, um, and the future of these talking points. It's a lot of things we got to discuss today. So In summary, this 13-year-old, like I said, I already gave you guys the warning, the spoiler alert. So, in summary of this television Netflix series, um, basically, this 13-year-old kid, he deletes this other 13-year-old woman, little girl, teenage girl, and they're trying to decipher why he did it. They already have him caught, they already have him on camera. They're trying to get co-conspirators, they're trying to get motives, they're trying to get evidence, the weapon, all these different things showing the whole process of how they infiltrated his home through physical force with the police and everything. So they've basically trying to figure out the motive as to why this little boy deleted this little girl. And I didn't really start, the series started off really well. It started off really interesting um, for the most part. But then they started saying certain things in the show that made my eyes perk up, that made my ears perk up, is a better way of saying it. And then I started to listen to, whoa, this is what this is really about. This is what this is really about. It's about men. It's about this space. It's about this content critiquing women and how it's affecting the male psyche and how it's causing men to check out of society. This is what this show is about. It's basically feminist propaganda. Again, we shouldn't be shocked because we see everything that is once was masculine is now being uh, watered down in the movie industry, in the entertainment industry. They're taking traditional masculinity and twisting it. So all of this stuff isn't a new concept. We've seen this all before. And of course, if you're not intelligent, you're not going to see the little messages, the little hidden subliminal messages that they're implanting in these shows. If you guys are just watching these shows mindlessly, um, then yeah, you're not going to understand anything in these shows. Now, granted, they're not going to tell you guys outright directly. They're going to give you little hints throughout the episodes. And so, and then of course, looks like on this live stream, we're not getting too much interaction. So I'm probably going to speed through these talking points. It is what it is. Um, but I figured this was a very important message for, men. And I appreciate you, um, Beso. I don't want to mess up. Is it Bacher? Beso? Am I saying that correctly? I appreciate you donating to the show. I highly appreciate it. I highly appreciate it. And since you donated, I'm going to make you a moderator on the channel. I appreciate you for donating to the live stream. This is a very important live stream for men to understand because this is going to show, this is how people in the higher up positions of power, they think about you because they put these things in these shows. They put these things in your music. They put these things in some subliminal political talking points. So very insightful live stream that I want to give to you guys. And I highly appreciate you for donating to the show. Um, so adolescence. It's about this little kid. He's struggling in his masculinity. He even talked about masculinity in the show. And what made my ears perk up when it, yeah, I appreciate it. Um, what made my ears perk up when it comes to this particular show, because I was just mindlessly watching it, enjoying it for the entertainment that it was, and trying to figure out these little mysteries going on within these shows. What made my ears perk up was this. whenever they started mentioning Andrew Tate, whenever they started mentioning that, hey, certain symbols on the internet, they resemble certain things. This is the red pill. This is the blue pill. And then the kid was like, and then the guy's like, what is this, the Matrix or what, and all this stuff? That's when I knew that this was feministic propaganda. And then it began to all make sense because in the very next episode, it talked about the psychologist came in and she was trying to figure out what he wanted, what his what his what's the word I'm looking for? His interpretation of masculinity was. Asking him different questions about his father, his all this stuff to see if it was passed down genetic. And then I was like, wow. So basically, guys, and then of course they got different other messages in there as well. But basically, guys, they're targeting these young adolescent boys because when Andrew Tate was a big thing about what maybe 2 3 years ago, he still is a big thing. He's already a millionaire, multi-millionaire. Uh, Technically, he's the government has their eyes on him because he's influenced so many young boys. And so that's who they're trying to demonize. They're trying to say, hey, these 13-year-old young boys that are following these content creators like Andrew Tate talking about these different talking points, they're the enemy, they're the problem. And we need to stop them before it gets out of hand. They're even blaming the parents in the live streaming or in the Netflix series. The parents are questioning themselves, hey, why didn't we surveil their content more? Basically trying to stop this kind of content because Andrew Tate, yeah, I don't agree with him. Yeah, he, certain things he needs to probably be in jail for. But for the most part, he's just saying common sense things that any rational or logical man that's being honest would say. It's not anything out of the ordinary. But see, they have to do this smear campaign on male spaces, which is why if you're any male space that gets infiltrated, they do a smear campaign on it, and then they infiltrate it through women and through different people, men that water down the message. And so whenever they're questioning him in the first couple of episodes and they're saying, hey, you're on Instagram following these Instagram models and you're liking their pictures of their butts and all this stuff. And then when the psychologist is asking him how, have you seen these uh, these pictures of women's chest and their buttocks and all these different things, and he's saying yes. Basically, what they're trying to say is these Tate followers are misogynistic. They're objectifying women. And the most disgusting part about this is they could have got this message through by just using a regular adult. But see, they didn't want to do that. That's the cleverness and the diabolicalness of, or I don't even think that's a word, diabolicalness, but that just shows you how diabolical they were willing to go, putting this 13-year-old kid on this show to emphasize that young men are the problem that are toxic watching these kind of content, just trying to better themselves. They're the new enemies and they're going to grow up and become the enemies of society. And so their whole plan is trying to effeminize young men and start you early. So by the time you get 20, 30 years old, you're ready to accept a woman as a single mother. You're ready to accept an overweight woman, body positivity, all these different things. You're going to make you docile, which they don't even understand why. Well, probably because they want the government to be even more controlling over you. And the more they have control over you and the more the men are docile, they don't have to fight any opposition. And so this is a very diabolical TV series that if you weren't paying attention to the messaging, oh man, you will become victim to it. And then they start to begin to, uh, if you guys look at the thumbnail where he's standing over her, basically he's saying, these are men are over women. They think these misogynist men think they're over women. They're better than women. And then they go into of course, the red pill, blue pill, crazy crap. And so I need to tell you guys the true message of this show. And this is going to be very alarming for you guys watching this and watching this on the replay. This is just goes to show you how less of a human being they think of you, the man of society, and how they're trying to promote matriarchy across the nation. So there's two messages that are definitely strong in this television series. Since this little boy, obviously in the camp in the show, he's attracted to this woman and he's trying to get her attention, and apparently he gets rejected, and he ends up, ice picking her to death, and that's why he's in juvenile, and he's going to plead guilty. So basically, what that message is in itself is men can't handle rejection. So since you guys can't handle rejection, you become dangerous and you take out your anger and hatred for women out against these women that reject you. That's one of the biggest messages that has been embedded within this television series. That men can't handle rejection, basically saying that you're dangerous once you can't handle rejection. You're dangerous. You're dangerous, period. Even though women walk down the street in society as if nobody's going to touch them. They walk down the street and run down the street. The other day, I was looking at a woman, it's 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and she's jogging around in the nighttime. Yeah, if men were that dangerous and diabolical, she wouldn't be doing that. That's a indication. Women jogging around and exercising in the outdoors of your neighborhood, and that basically says that the men are safe. It's a safe neighborhood. This is happening all around the city, but they want to convince men so much and women so much that men are dangerous. And men have a tendency to be dangerous, but it's typically without reason. It's typically with reason when there's threat. So, and yes, there is some truth to that, and that's how intelligent this propaganda is. They mix some of the truth in there. Yeah, there are some men that can't handle rejection. And once they can't handle rejection, there's been stories where they do delete these women, where they do assault these women. And those men are definitely an issue. But they're projecting this television series and this message in the television series as if this is some kind of widespread masculine problem all over the place. What's going on, Detroit Coalition? You've been in here before, if I'm not mistaken, Detroit. This show is called Adolescence. It's on Netflix. This is actually pretty popular Netflix series. So, once you watch this live stream, after you see it with fresh eyes, you're going to see the messaging in it, and it's quite diabolical. Um, but yeah, Detroit, you've been in here before, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? If I'm not mistaken. My memory isn't failing me. So there's so many different ways. There's so many different yes, you have. Okay, there's so many different ways to wage warfare, guys. Some of you guys think warfare is just with guns and knives. No, warfare is typically psychological, and you do everything propaganda, marketing. All these things affect your psyche. These subliminal messages in these shows and the music. This is how they convince you, and they do it over and over and over again. I'm going to make you a moderator, Detroit. I appreciate you coming back in here. Um, this is how they program you, and a lot of you men, you don't even realize it. You're programmed to be docile. You're programmed to be a nobody, to not try anything, to put the woman and be a simp and put the woman up here. You're programmed to do that. And then, we wonder why in society right now, where we have all these different things going on in the political arena, but, men aren't standing up and protesting it. Only the Looney Tunes are uh, protesting in the street for irrelevant things. But the things that do matter, when we're getting overtaxed, all these different things, the men aren't doing anything. Why? Because you've been trained to be docile. And through this show is one of the reasons how they make you docile. Now, Detroit, you said, is this a scripted show? It definitely seems like it. It definitely seems like it. And, it basically also, too, whenever they're going through the psychological piece and the mindset of this little kid, they're basically saying that he's a pathological liar. He's all the different toxic traits are in this young little boy. Psychotic. He didn't realize that, of course, he's a young kid. He didn't realize he just took a life and the life isn't going to come back. So this is one of those shows where if you're not looking at the messages as to why would they film this? And if you're just mindlessly looking at it, you're not going to see the messages. And you're going to think it's just some kind of random different show, and it's a limited series. It's just 4 episodes, 4 hours. Now, I did appreciate in the show how they're talking about these parents being weak and these teachers being weak. That definitely needs to be emphasized. But, you know, the decline of America, it's just inevitable. The more you look at it, the more you look at it closely and you see it happening in the educational system with the young kids, the parents, all these different things. The decline is inevitable. We're just along for the ride. And men could change it, but of course, like I said, you've been programmed to be docile. And that's done on purpose for you to accept just anything, even if it's disrespect, even if it's anything. You've been taught to take it on the chin because you're a good old boy. You follow directions. You don't take any risk. Why? Because risks are unnecessary. Even though when you get into a relationship with a woman, she's going to cheat on you with the guy that is risky, is doing all kinds of things that you would never do because you've been taught to be docile by your single mother, by propaganda, by music, all these different avenues. Hell, even your father might have taught you to be docile. A lot of weak fathers. This has been happening for generations, guys. The decline of masculinity has been happening for generations. This is not an overnight thing. This has been going on for years, probably 50 plus years. So here's the other message within this show that basically is trying to demonize men. So think with me here. They mention in the show, they talk about incel. You're an incel. This kid's an incel, even though he's definitely not ugly. He's not, these are just bullying tactics that they use on the internet. So this kid, he becomes insecure about his looks because he's gotten confirmation and validation through this woman that he supposedly likes and through other people that liked her comment and agree with her that he's ugly. He's developed this kind of insecurity about himself. And so that's another message within itself. They're saying that you men that, you critique women, you're insecure in your masculinity, which is why you're critiquing women all the time. If you were secure in your masculinity, you would let a woman go out to girls' nights out with her butt hanging underneath her booty shorts. You would let the woman do whichever she wants to do because she's a free human being, even though in relationships, you're supposed to have standards. So the messaging is really deep. And if, like I said, if you're not an intellectual looking for the reasons behind it, you're not going to get it. But here's the other here, but here's let me continue. Basically, the message is this: you're an incel, which means what? You can't get women. And so when incels can't get women, what do? They hate women. And see, since you hate women, what do you do against people that you hate? You commit acts of violence. And so, since you're an incel that hates women and that leads you to be violent towards women, therefore, incels and men that have this rhetoric critiquing women or being misogynistic against women, you are evil. That, in a nutshell, is the messaging of this show. And I was just watching that last night. I was like, I have to talk about this on today's live stream to let the people know, hey, that this television series isn't just about this little kid that deleted happily, he deleted this little girl. This is an actual propaganda being spread across the Netflix for people to watch that has subliminal messaging in it. And so anybody that talks about this red pill, blue pill stuff, which is basically just the truth, right? I mean, plus I don't talk about the red pill, blue pill stuff. All these things, different things are just nonsense labels. Just call it the truth, right? Anyways, anything related to the manosphere, I guess the people that talk about these different things, right? All these different things have been infiltrated, by the way. They're not the authentic thing today. If you people thought this was a real thing. And so whenever people talk about the matrix, the red pill, blue pill, all these different things, it means nothing today because it's been infiltrated. Women say it, men say it. So little kids say it. By the time it gets to the mainstream, by the time every person is saying it, the message is watered down. By the time anything gets mainstream, it's over. It's not profitable. It's not the original message anymore. The real messaging, the most authentic part of it was whenever it was hidden, it was underground. Anything that hits mainstream has been tampered with, it's been watered down. And so that's what's going to happen to any male spaces going forward. This is a warning. This is a warning shot. This is a shot in the air to any man that wants to talk to men about anything masculine and wants to create anything masculine for men to come around and develop their masculinity and be an actual man. This is a warning shot because what they're trying to say is we have a bullseye on your channels, on your messages. And we're going to do counterintelligence. We're going to do not only secret intelligence, but we're going to do counterintelligence to combat your messaging. And not only that, we're going to infiltrate it. We're going to demonetize you. Think about it. These talking points about men and women, they're everywhere. Celebs say it. Now, that's when you guys should have known that something was wrong when the celebrities started coming in and talking about these talking points. That's when you guys should have your antenna should have went up. Why? Because we all know at this point the celebs are bought and paid for. They're the key source of entertainment to pass on these agendas that are being held by the elite, the politicians, or whatever. they're going to use them to write the songs, the messaging in the songs, to get you guys convinced on it. They're going to get you guys. They're going to write the scripts to make sure you guys are following the script and you're in on it. So Detroit Coalition says, let's be real. The problem with both genders is that they seek the visual aspects of partners first, and then they try to change the partners into spiritual or morality partners that they desire. And yeah, and there's yeah, exactly, and you can't change anybody. That's the thing that people don't realize. You can't change anybody. You can't change their genetics. You can't change the way they were raised, and that's how people can, you know, formulate their how they view the world early on in childhood. You can't fix that. It's a fixed mindset. Personality types, that's a fixed mindset. All these things were developed in their youth. You can't change it at 25. You can't get it. And that's the problem with these women today. And decide to get into all these different goofy situations. They get in a relationship with a bad boy, knowing that he is a bad boy, thinking that, you know, if we have a family, if she gets pregnant by him, that he'll change. And you know, he just becomes a deadbeat dad, and she learns the hard way. Now she's on the internet complaining that these men aren't shit, when in reality, she knew he wasn't shit to begin with. She's full of shit. And so, yes, you're right about the visual aspects as well. When we talk about dating apps, you know, Instagram, all these different kinds of social media, they're glorifying what's on the surface, how you look, what your following is. All of it is very not substance based. It's not substance based at all. Just because you have a big following doesn't mean you're a good person. Just because you have abs and muscles, or you have a big butt, or you know, big titties, that doesn't mean that you're a good person. Which is why people are easily distracted with these figures and how they get into goof situations. You know, these guys, they impregnate these women that look good, but they don't overlook. Just because they look good, it makes the man overlook the bad attitude, and they get pregnant, and then they get taken through the ringer, the divorce court, and get child support out the rear. It's because they were thinking with their eyes. All of this stuff, all the different social problems that are happening, are destroying family, destroying our society, destroying the social construct of how we are as human beings. It's being destroyed right before our eyes. So he meets that girl with her. Then he tries to make her, yep, exactly. But anyway, back to the point. These celebs, we should have known these celebs are the problem because they've been bought and paid for. Their scripts are not their own. They're following somebody else's script, and that's how they get blackmailed. They're like, "Hey, you know, you're gonna get in this 360 deal, and we're gonna f you over, and you're gonna be stuck in this deal for 10 years, and you're gonna do exactly what we say. And if you don't, you're gonna go broke. We're gonna call you crazy. We're gonna call you different kinds of different names." And so that's what's gonna happen. So we can't trust the celebs. But of course, everybody has a favorite celeb, right? And you think these celebs are being authentic. Well, buddy. So in my estimation and prediction, future prediction of when it comes to male spaces, they're going to force us to pivot. They're going to force us the message to change. It might not fully change where you can't talk about it at all, but you're going to have to pivot in some way. You're going to have to tuck it in neatly in a message. You can't just outright say this stuff anymore. Um, you know, this mainstream show, it basically just says that, hey, you know, we're on to you. We see you. We hear your messages. We hear what you're trying to say and trying to switch in society, and that we don't like it, and that we're going to do whatever it takes to take this message down. That's basically what the warning shot was in this television series. And so you guys are not going to have any male spaces that are being authentic anymore. You know, going forward, 2 years from now, a lot of these spaces will be not be authentic. Now they'll be behind a paywall. They'll be behind, uh, you know, a special society, a special underground group of people, but it's not going to be anything. And unfortunately, we talk about these dating topics and we talk about all these different kinds of things, but we obviously see that nothing's going to change in society for the two genders to work. It's not going to work. Shaming isn't going to work. So what are we men going to be deprived of if women accomplish their goal? um, you'll be deprived of your leadership. You'll be deprived of your authority. You'll be deprived. You'll basically just be a man. You'll be like King Ahab when it comes to Jezebel. You'll do whatever she says. You'll be a simp. You will be a sucker. You will do any and everything for sex, and she will control you, and she will have complete dominion over you and society. That's their goal, and unfortunately, a good portion of men, you know, try to put resistance up to it, but then they just countered it with television shows like Adolescence, like I'm talking about today. And then they countered it by putting him in jail and all kinds of crazy stuff. So, and like I said, I don't think he's all the way innocent with any of the stuff he did. He probably did some diabolical stuff within his own stuff, but some of the messages he did promote were actually pretty solid messaging. But we know that free speech is not a thing anymore. We know that. We know that's clear as day. Um, the people that control the society are the people that you can't critique. And you look around, look at the people that you can't critique. They're the ones that run your society. And so um, it's unfortunate that it's gotten like this, but it is what it is. There will not be another Andrew Tate. There will not be another famous person talking about these talking points. It just won't happen. Um, Not without it being. There won't be another Kevin Samuels. They're not. It's not going to be without strings attached. As far as like, you know, a bojangling celebrity, if you know what I mean. So men are going to have to organize to protect this message. And to be truthfully honest, I don't see that happening at all because men don't work together. Like they say, like the saying goes, you're only one blowjob away from the plantation, right? Men will say stand, hold the line and all this different kinds of stuff and, you know, restrain from marriage and relationships. But, these women, they're so comfortable doing it. It's because there's a simp that's going to save them in the end. And they know it. We know it. Everybody knows it. And so, since these women can't be held accountable, they're not going to be accountable. This is why women are going to be on the internet saying forever that I have 3 kids from 3 different baby dads, and then another dude will come in there and take care of the kids like it's his kids. And so, we're heading to a point in society where the simp is going to be the average man. The simp is going to be the only man because a toxic man will probably be exiled, at least, messaging wise when it comes to the message. Now, granted, the masculine man will still be smashing all the women, alpha, Fs, beta, bucks, right? But um, they're waging psychological warfare against you. And then also too, we should have known that the male spaces were done also whenever we the women started coming in. There's an intelligence as to why the older men from past generations didn't allow women to come into their spaces. It's because they come in and add complexity. Women are quite complex. They say yes and no, not just yes or no. They add unnecessary complexity. They add unnecessary emotion. They add irrationality. This is why whenever what's his name, uh, had the famous interview. He used to play James Bond. Freaking, what's his freaking name, man? Um, what's the original famous name of the guy that was James Bond? Freaking, what's his name, bro? I I'm blanking. But that guy, he had a. This is why he said in that interview with Barbara Walters that he doesn't enjoy talking or competing with other women because they make things unnecessarily difficult, complex. It's not fun anymore. This is why you don't allow Sean Connery, exactly. That's his name. Time to heal our women, be real with our women, and if we don't, we'll have a race of babies that hate the ladies that make the babies. Pac was no simp. Nah, he wasn't. He wasn't a simp. What he did say something irrational though. This one time, what did he say? Um, Something about they make. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into that. I forgot the line. I think it was in that same song too. But I mean, guys, we can't trust celebrities to be authentic. These poets, all these different things. They. Anyway, anyway, and so the future of male spaces are men. It's going to force men to pivot. It's going to force you to to go in a different direction, go on a different platform. Now, I don't know what's going to replace it because um, maybe in the next 3 to 5 years we'll all be making evergreen content about non goofy crap because that stuff will be shadow banned on the internet by then. But I wanted to come in and show you guys and tell you guys about this television series because this is what's coming down the pike. This is what, or the pipe, pause. Um, this is what society is trying to force men to do. How you think, how you act, what you say, have complete dominion over your life and who you choose in your relationships. It's quite sad the more you think about it. This is, for you guys watching this right now, this is the decline. We are in the last stages of society. I look out in society today, nothing makes sense anymore. Relationships don't make sense, politics don't make sense. Nobody's trying to fix it and push it in the right direction. Everybody says it, but they don't enact it. They don't pass any laws. They don't force any change. This is the last stage. So that's my live stream. I appreciate you guys coming in here. I appreciate my man Besso for supporting the live stream. I really appreciate you guys. I have to be saying something that truly resonates with you guys. If you guys are willing to come in here and donate your hard earned money, especially in this society where you're getting taxed to death and cost of living is unsustainable, and you still choose to donate to my live stream. It really means a lot. I really appreciate it. This is not me just making this crap up. Um, I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. Um, that is my live stream. If you guys want to watch Adolescence, you have a clear guide as to what you're looking at with this live stream. So hopefully this gave you some good insight. This gave you some good value. Um, I'll be live streaming tomorrow for you guys. Typically on the weekends is when I try to live stream. I'm trying to get to 3 days, 3 4 days, during the weekdays. But work is just insane, working 10, 12 hours. But I appreciate you guys. You guys have a good rest of your weekend. Please don't forget to hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you guys have, really like this channel and like the content that I like or that I make. And that'll be it. And I appreciate it. You guys have a good one. Peace.